Hello and welcome to the Weekend News live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. I am Lima Peters McCoy. Coming up in this edition, Sierra Leoneans reflect on the January 6th invasion of Freetown. Parliamentary leader of the National Grand Coalition, Dr. Kande Yunkela, highlights key areas for government attention in 2019. And an organization, Ambassadors for Humanity, in collaboration with the Freetown Cheshire Home, organizes an open day at the Freetown Cheshire Home. These stories and more lined up in this edition of Weekend News. We apologize for that breaking transmission as power has now been restored. 20 years ago, precisely on 6th January 1999, the Revolutionary United Front soldiers invaded Sierra Leone's capital city, Freetown, killing hundreds of people and destroying property worth millions of leones. Patrick Salia goes down memory lane and puts this report together.
January 6, 1999 was when rebel forces entered the country's capital, Freetown, and launched a campaign of terror and mayhem. The Revolutionary United Front fighters systematically murdered, mutilated and raped thousands of civilians and millions of dollars worth of properties destroyed. During the 3 weeks it took the Nigerian-led West African peacekeeping troops ECOMOG to expel the rebels from Freetown, Sierra Leone officially became the most dreadful country at the time, directly and indirectly affecting every citizen, most of whom had come from the interior, already experienced the war since 23rd March 1991.
That was a very sad history. I can recall that night, in the morning and all, we were watching this war film, and just in the morning we started getting gunshots and all. So it was a bad experience. Me personally, I wrote a poem titled A Letter to the Unborn, and a few passages of the poem says, the night was cold, it sounded, the magic stick, as in the gun, was so bold. Certainly kids knew that all was not well, a foul dare not to ring its bell.
Some of the reasons for the war, which altogether lasted for 11 years, include but not limited to the socio-economic injustice issues such as lack of access to justice, politicization of state security forces, youth unemployment, and marginalization of the poor, as already documented in the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report of 2002. Views gathered from Sierra Leoneans about their accounts of that horrible Freetown attack indicates that the country has still not learned its lessons.
Stop tribalistic inputs. Be straight and be sincere with yourself. Straight and sincere with yourself. This rampant sacking. Get what you must get for the people. The important things that matter, that can make the country go forward. Otherwise, we are going to backslide into entropy. We are going to go into the abyss of what we had experienced, and worse off if we are not careful.
Most of what was put in that document, I think we are seeing some semblance of it, trying to occur again. And as a state, we would not like to see such things occurring. People are fighting for their truth, people are fighting for their right, people are fighting against injustice, against corruption, and other group of people are there again saying that these are not the due process, procedures are not being followed. We are now seeing demonstrations here and there.
It was often noisy at night. Because of the blackouts and danger outside, people were going to bed early. But the rebels wanted everyone to stay up late. They made bonfire on fallen trees and sang songs in praise of the RAF, similar to the songs Sierra Leoneans like singing at football matches and weddings. At night, they would move from one house to another, forcing especially young men and women to come out shouting those songs.
My mom was breastfeeding my younger sister, and somebody knocked at the window, and she was afraid to open the door, but later she was forced to open the door. When she opened the window, the man went like this. Kumbra, open the mouth. We need you bad. And we were surrounded. These people, they surrounded us. I was 9 years of age by then. So my mother opened the door. They said they are going to kill all of us. They need 5 heads of ladies.
The January 6 Freetown invasion was the most violent of the several coups Sierra Leone had been through. It also marked the first day the war reached the country's main capital. On that day, mixed groups of soldiers and civilians forced their way to homes and offices. They wore a motley assortment of army fatigues and civilian clothing. Some sported World War II helmets, gas masks, and even Santa Claus hats. Some carried AK-47 assault rifles or rocket-propelled grenade launchers. They emerged loaded with bed frames and cooking pots, video recorders, and satellite dishes, which they loaded in stolen pickup trucks. On that fateful day, hundreds died, with their bodies pierced with bullets on top of the thousands who had already been killed in the rural areas and those who had fled fighting in the interior. Others experienced and endured painful maiming, which was being referred to as longhand and shorthand. They axed and physically tortured, while houses, private and public structures estimated at billions of leones destroyed or looted by rebel forces and other fragmented gun-toting, trigger-happy drug insurgents masking as members of the Revolutionary United Front and disgruntled members of the national military.
Most of the infrastructural scars of the war, like this one here, the city hall, have been rebuilt. Some already have been rebuilt. The Criminal Investigations Department, CID headquarters along Pademba Road, is another one. This city hall here behind me is one area or one place where the court martial was held for revolutionary soldiers or renegade soldiers.
So it means that the war was, however, one big opportunity for the infrastructure of Freetown to now look pretty much better than before the massive destruction. The City Hall, for instance, which was just a storied building, now gets a facelift of 15 stories. That war was a catastrophic episode most Sierra Leoneans, meanwhile, if not all, who lived during those days, can hardly forget. And the solution to preventing the repeat of such a destructive event for the nation, but yet an opportunistic moment for some people, could be love and respect for each other and the nation, including transparency.
President Julius Maada Bio and former Vice President Solomon Ekuma Berewa and Dr. June Dembi have joined the family of the Catholic Church to lay Right Reverend Patrick Daniel Koroma to rest in Kenema. Until his death, the clergyman was the third bishop of the Diocese of Kenema, Eastern Sierra Leone. Maada Bio and former Vice President Solomon Ekuma Berewa and Dr. Joe Dembi have joined the family and the Catholic Church to lay Right Reverend Patrick Daniel Koroma to rest in Kenema. Until his death, the clergyman was the third bishop of the Diocese of Kenema, Eastern Sierra Leone. It was established on 11th November 1970, with its territory being split off from the Diocese of Freetown and Bow. His Lordship, the Right Reverend Koroma, was born on 4th May 1950 and was ordained as a Catholic priest on 18th December 1977 in the Immaculate Heart Pearl Cathedral of Bow. He was appointed Bishop of the Diocese of Kenema by Pope John Paul II on 26th April 2002. He was President of Interterritorial Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Gambia and Sierra Leone between 2010 and 2016. In a letter sent from the Vatican City in Italy, Pope Francis said he was saddened when he learnt of the passing away of Bishop Koroma, whom he referred to as a holy man of God that lived his entire life in the servitude of God and men. Pope Francis also imparted his apostle blessings upon the remains of Bishop Koroma. President Bio said that the death of the cleric was a sad moment for Sierra Leone because he was a patriotic Sierra Leonean who had always stood for that which was right. He consoled everyone by saying that that was inevitable and that it will come when least expected. He said that as a Roman Catholic, she would work very hard during his presidency to make the Catholic family very proud. I will use my presidency to show that religion and politics can go side by side. I will govern this country with the fear of God who made it possible for me to become president, he assured. He pleaded with the congregation to continue to pray for him and the government, having taken up governance with the worst economic situation ever in the history of the country. He also said that he needed the Bio's wisdom to rule and not that of the wisdom of Solomon, because the challenges were unique to Sierra Leone and for which he will need the wisdom to address them. An organization, Ambassadors for Humanity, in collaboration with the Freetown Cheshire Home, has organized an open day at the Freetown Cheshire Home. The event is done annually to showcase what pupils with disabilities have made at the Skills Training Center at the Freetown Cheshire Home. Francis Danema report.
Apart from the formal learning that takes place at the Freetown Cheshire Home, Ambassadors for Humanity and other bodies have supported Freetown Cheshire Home to rehabilitate their training center and equip it. Every year, Ambassadors for Humanity supports Freetown Cheshire Home to organize an open day ceremony to showcase their products. Assistant Deputy Director, Special Needs Department of Ministry of Education, Stephen Ali Kurosa said his ministry is supporting 15 special needs schools in the country. He noted that the Ministry of Education did not give majority of the opportunities to the special needs schools for the past 10 years. He assured them that the new direction is determined to give them all opportunities due them. He encouraged Ambassadors for Humanity to do more so as to ensure the pupils get all-round provisions to acquire quality education.
For the past 10 years. But with the present dispensation, not much has been done. But what has been done within a very short time, 6-7 months, I would say is better than what used to happen for so many years.
Chairman of Freetown Cheshire Home, Dr. Abdullahi Dumbuya said his administration has raised the income of the home from 60 million loans government subvention to more than 200 million loans through connections and taxes from the mobile networks that have poles on their land. He said he is trying to ensure the past glory of Freetown Cheshire Home is brought again through prudent financial management, promotion of quality education, among others. Founder, Ambassadors for Humanity, Farella D. Ryan-Kuka, encouraged the pupils to make use of the opportunity and get the skills needed to become self-reliant. She said several persons with disabilities are dying prematurely because of lack of support in the country and called on other philanthropists to support persons with disabilities to be self-reliant. Farella D. Ryan-Kuka donated £2,000 to the management of the home and gave gifts to the pupils. SLBC News, Francis Danema reporting.
Parliamentary leader of the National Gang Coalition, Dr. Kande Yumkela, has highlighted key areas for government attention in 2019. Dr. Yumkela, in his New Year message, has called for responsible leadership and building a just and equitable society, growing the economy and carefully and judiciously managing the war on corruption and the pending commissions of inquiry. Dr. Yumkela said the outcome of the 2018 elections, where government is in minority in parliament, is a manifestation of democratic progress. The NGC leader called on Parliament to live up to its sacred responsibility of providing valuable checks and balances as well as oversight on the government. He further admonished the government to accept and respect separation of powers and allow the judiciary and the legislative branches to exercise their constitutional mandate. In recent times, the NGC release went on. The country has seen a spate of violent incidents, many of them associated with post-election tensions, stating that democracy itself may be under serious threat given the growing polarization of the society and the incessant pandering to tribalism. NGC, the release stressed, is very concerned about the emerging risk to fundamental human rights due to a series of arrests and detentions without recourse to habeas corpus. The party calls on the government to heal the nation and endeavor to build an inclusive, open and just society on the foundation of rule of law and respect for the provisions of the Constitution. The government must live up to its party slogan of one country, one people, and work towards creating a cohesive and just society based on respect for the protection of human rights of all its citizens, the release emphasized. In this regard, the release further stated that the party rejects sporadic mass firing of people in various institutions without due process. In the same vein, the position APC, the English went on, has to come to terms with the fact that they lost power and they must understand and accept the new responsibility to be a formidable constructive opposition that can provide checks and balances to prevent abuse of power. The Faith Healing Bible Church has observed its first monthly combined service for 2019 at its Grafton campsite. The theme for the service was Divine Restoration and Total Recovery. Over 30,000 worshippers converged to thank God for another year celebration. Rose Konima Stevens now report.
January 6, 1999, thousands of Sierra Leoneans were killed, millions worth of properties destroyed, and many migrated to neighboring countries. It's 20 years now, and most Sierra Leoneans gathered here at the Grafton camp witnessed the 10 years brutal war. These worshippers thanked God for restoring peace and stability in the country and the recovery of the country's past glory. Founder and General Overseer, Faith Healing Bible Church, Pastor Francis Mambu said, there is going to be continuous shifts in nations, politically, economically, and socially, noting that nations whose leaders have worked in integrity are going to experience restoration of economy. Concerning the church, he said, there is going to be an outpouring of God's power and spirit, hunger and thirst for the things of God, which will trigger revival into nations, communities, and churches the world over. The range of natural disasters of flooding, landslide, storms, tsunami, wind, fire, among others, that some communities in certain nations will be wiped away. Only through God's intervention and fervent prayers can avert it from those nations.
Those political leaders who have been sitting on the destinies of people are going to continue to lose their places and opportunities given to them to serve their people. There's going to be shaking in nations.
God will shake continent.
We should pray for nations.
We forget for the continent,
including our own nation.
Even we don't know.
There's going to be a range of natural disasters.
Pastor Mambu therefore called on Sierra Leoneans to continue with fasting and prayers for the nation and other nations for God's intervention. SLBC News, Rose Konima Stevens.
Grave diggers, also known as cemetery workers or burial ground custodians, dig graves in cemeteries for burials. It sounds creepy, but it's a job that must be done whenever someone dies and chooses to be buried. Every cemetery employs at least one grave digger. Joseph Tui has been looking at the risk involved in grave digging.
This is Joseph Kuruma, one of the grave diggers at the Kisi Road Cemetery and a father of 3. He has been a grave digger for the past 11 years, and it is through this job he has been supporting his children. He has been using substandard tools to dig graves, and as a result, he uses a lot of energy, which makes him sweat profusely. Another grave digger, Mohamed Sisi, noted that they have no gloves, safety boots, nose masks, among other things. He said most times they got sick because of the harmful particles they inhale while digging graves.
At first, we were receiving adequate tools and aprons. When Bankole Johnson was mayor, we are really constrained. We even get injured and sick at times. We call on the authority to start giving us the adequate supply required.
Sori Kamara, who is in charge of the Kisi Road Cemetery, said they are facing a lot of constraints, adding that for the past 7 years they haven't received logistics like fresh milk and protective gears. He added they receive supply once every year and they haven't been receiving any medical treatment even though their job is hazardous. Sori Kamara said most of his colleagues get injured because they lack the requisite equipment required for grave digging. At the Racecourse Cemetery, we saw a lot of weed covering most of the graves. Jibila Kurma, a grave digger, disclosed to us that at times they inhale bad fumes while digging graves.
They has a casual for good 7 years.
I've been in it for nearly 7 years. We have a lot of constraints like lack of hand gloves, boots and nose masks. It's only God that protects us. We are calling on the authority to look into our life.
That person way that you don't know who sick we killer. You go to map, they dig, they hear that dirty. So they are big.
The Freetown City Council is the institution responsible for the upkeep of cemeteries within the municipalities and its workers. Koma Hassan Kamara is the public relations officer at the Freetown City Council. She explained the ways the council will be addressing grave diggers' problem.
The next plan is to supply them their logistics and other facilities that they're supposed to get. But at council level, we do it yearly. As the year goes round, they give them their supplies. So as you're not talking to me, this is January and 2019 and 2018 has gone by. So probably what they gave them, the supply they got for 2018 has wear out, and therefore they're expecting. And definitely that is part of council's plan. And it may interest you to know that we are not only talking about the logistics they're using, we're also trying to facelift the cemetery because it has been a concern from people.
The public relations officer stated that after the launch of the Freetown plan, the council will provide the necessary logistics to grave diggers. SLBC News, Joseph Toure, Freetown.
Still on graves. Early last year, there were reports of break-ins in different cemeteries. Most of the cemeteries in Freetown are not properly fenced. According to some of the clients in some of the cemeteries, unknown persons have many times break into some of the cemeteries and open graves while defiling the corpse. Hawberry takes up the story.
Graves which have been forcefully opened by unknown people at the King Tom and Ascension Town cemeteries. The news of unknown persons forcefully opening graves have made people like Dr. Sheku Alfred to come all the way from South Africa to seal his parents' grave firmly, as he is unhappy about the news of break-ins and the state of the Ascension Town cemetery.
Why I go to the service now because of which I can sit in the camp brick graveyard.
I am doing this because of what I am hearing of people breaking and stealing valuable items and body parts. These things didn't happen in the past. People used to have respect for the dead. Look at the current state of the cemetery.
Come to the graveyard, look around, all over grass.
The break-ins, according to religious leaders, have been regarded as a sacrilegious act.
Islamically speaking, that is a sacrilegious act of such people. And Islam kicks against black magic. So, for such inhuman act from people to exhume bodies of people is totally condemned by Islam.
The Christian understanding about life and death is that life is the beginning to death and death is the beginning to life. That is the summary of our theology of human existence, because our central belief and faith is in the resurrection. And so therefore, the terminal end of the physical corpse is not the end of existence. It's not the end of God living in you. And so we have an obligation and we have a responsibility to maintain that love and dignity even for the dead.
The break-ins, according to these cemetery clerks, happen very early in the morning when no one is around. The cemeteries have now become a hiding place for thieves.
There's so many reports there.
during last year.
We received so many reports during the election period. There are some votes which cost over 3 million loans which have been damaged by thieves. I honestly don't know what they are looking for.
We don't know what in the want is under vote there.
The state of the cemeteries is a serious concern for Adama, whose aunt is buried here.
My granny in Pekin died.
My aunt is buried here. It is difficult for one to access a grave because of the grass. The place is unkept. They need to provide tools for them.
It was rumored that body parts of the dead are used for ritual purposes.
Of what essence is the part of a dead body? To me, particularly, it does not appeal to me for any concussion, for any success. Why go and exhume the grave? Why? Leave the dead to rest unto eternity. By so doing, you are causing the wrath of Allah, the anger of Allah to come on the nation.
All fingers are pointing at the Freetown City Council, who is responsible for the cleaning and beautification of the cemeteries.
I think what I can say is that I'm sorry that our cemeteries are in the poor state they are, and I'm committed to making sure. I've been in office 6.5 months. We've been doing a lot of things, but we haven't focused on the cemeteries, and we need to do that now.
The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development oversees the work of the council. As many fingers are pointing at the Freetown City Council, the ministry thinks the council is incapable and too slow in the discharge of its duties.
Cleaning of the cemetery is not as good as we are expecting, because if you go across the country, some cemeteries are still bushy. Really, it was discussed in passing, but no memo from this ministry really has been written to the councils, specifically spelling out to make sure cemeteries are cleaned up.
When the media started reporting on these strange happenings in 2 cemeteries in Freetown, nothing was done by the Freetown City Council nor the police to secure the cemeteries or to find out why this is happening or even apprehend culprits. It was when the former First Lady's mother's grave was tampered with that it captured the attention of the police.
Don't fall, vandalizing, we are former First Lady in my grave.
This is the former First Lady's mother's grave, which was vandalized by unknown persons. We were all arrested and taken to the police station. That attracted the police, and someone was also shot trying to open the grave. The grave was secured for a while, and later the police left. It stopped and later started again. As I speak to you now, they are still forcefully opening graves here.
As I talk to you now, people are still go graves.
Now the break-in here actually starts at around 1 or 2 a.m. Now this grave, which is the former First Lady's mom, was also vandalized before. Now there are security personnel here in the cemetery, but as soon as they left, it started all over again. And according to the clerk and even a volunteer here at the King Tom Cemetery, people breaking into the cemetery despite when there is a gate. This is a serious concern for people who have relatives who are actually buried here. Now, as you can see, it's also difficult for even the grave diggers to even find a location for someone who is going to be buried here. And I'm told there are poisonous snakes around, and it's so difficult for them to actually work. And also, the Freetown City Council only cleans the cemetery for once in a year.
The police was forced to keep watch on this particular grave.
The guys who were coming to that place never knew that we had gone ahead to deploy somebody there. And they attempted a second try, and they went there again. And then the guy was unlucky, was gone down, was killed. And that was the cross to the police.
These young men think they should be employed by the Freetown City Council to help beautify the cemeteries. They have now upgraded themselves by constructing plaques where they earn a little sum to keep themselves busy.
if they hand over and give it, we get the support of the council and the...
We believe if the cemeteries are handed over to us with support from the council, things will definitely change. We can't keep watching over the cemetery because it's not our mandate.
We're not going to compromise. We say we for can secure without the government's no. We're not going to do that.
The grass in cemeteries, I'm told, grows faster than anywhere. So that's why it needs to be cleaned regularly, and the number of staff increased to be able to manage the cemeteries. People wish the country's cemeteries would eventually look like this, or even better. Reporting for SLBC, Hawabari.
Hundreds of Sierra Leoneans turned out on Saturday for its first national cleaning exercise for the year 2019. Piles of garbage are seen on the corners of most streets in the city. The Freetown City Council is responsible for the cleaning exercise. The Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces also supports the cleaning exercise, which is held on first Saturday of every month. Judge Lewis was out and about.
Sierra Leoneans have embraced it and worked diligently to clean their city once every month. Sierra Leoneans, both home and abroad, have praised the government for undertaking such a venture. As they noted, during the past rainy season, no major flooding took place, and the cleaning has made them to breathe fresh air. At Kisii Road Mountain Court Junction, the cleaning exercise was undertaken by the representatives of the armed forces and youth of the East End community. A Sierra Leonean based in UK who is here for the Christmas break, Aisatuddin Rashid, commended the efforts of the government for establishing the cleaning exercise.
So I'm just appealing to the people of Sierra Leone to work harder, because this is home. Whether we live in Japan, America, England, this is our home. We want to come back home, you know. But if the country is filthy, we're not going to come, because when you come, mosquitoes will kill you. But this time it's really good. The mosquitoes are a lot better, you know. And I'm also appealing to the government. If people have their bin collection area or collection points, it will be better. There will not be garbage.
site, we spoke with the Mayor of Freetown City Council, Yvonne Akinsoya. She said the Freetown
To end the news, the main point again. Sierra Leoneans have reflected on the January 6th invasion of Freetown. Parliamentary leader of the National Ghana Coalition, Dr. Kandiyum Killer, has highlighted key areas for government attention in 2019. And an organization, Ambassadors for Humanity and Collaboration with the Freetown Cheshire Home, has organized an open day at the Freetown Cheshire Home. That all in this edition of News Hour. I have been your presenter, Lima Peters Macaulay. Thanks for watching.